Today I'm here with the author of Go Legal Yourself, Kelly Bagla. She's also an expert in creating business startup advice, and has a package as both an attorney and an expert in helping entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, how to get their business running and making a lot of money. She's also helped people raise millions of dollars for their companies and has a systematic process and a deep understanding of entrepreneurialism, a mission that I believe is really important to spreading out great ideas, because I think that entrepreneurs are really the backbone of this country. And I really appreciate you coming down here from San Diego all this way for the interview, and it's really great to have you. I've been watching a lot of your videos on your website explaining the process of the most important steps you need to take when you're first becoming an entrepreneur. Whether you're just a self-employed person or creating a major startup and working with you to raise a lot of money. I guess I'd like to start off with what you usually talk about in terms of the basic and most important things to start up in the startup phase, like the first few steps that you think are first and foremost.
Well, first of all, thank you, Nick, for having me. It's a pleasure being here. When I advise clients, especially when they're thinking about going into a business, the very first step one needs to take is to make sure that they have a business plan. It's extremely important to have a solid, dynamic business plan in place before you even go down a particular road that you want to go down. This really focuses on the entrepreneur thinking about what is their target market to begin with. It can't be everyone. What type of business do they want to go into? How much money is it going to take for them to get to stage one, if you will? And how is it that they're going to market this? There's so many things that come into play before a business owner actually goes out and open their doors. For an entrepreneur, it's extremely important to make sure that if you are going into business, that you're incorporated. Extremely important. There's so many different types of incorporations out there, but the one that an entrepreneur should really consider, and I'm usually a big, huge proponent of this one, is usually the S corporation. Why? Because one, it protects your personal assets if and when you do get sued. At least your personal assets are not going to be up for grabs by creditors. And then it actually helps you create a brand. It helps you create credibility for your business so other people can actually do business with you.
Now, the interesting thing about my history is that when I jumped into my company and its business plan was created on a car ride. The business plan was a road trip. My business partner of since 2002, and we have an 8-figure business right now, and he and I never really formalized an operating agreement or articles of incorporation. We created a C corporation and then listed me as owning everything, yet I still split the profits with him, and if he ever wanted equity in the company or 50% of it in writing, I would more than willingly give it to him. But there's a lot of trust. And all this happened after me meeting him on the phone for a month, talking to him on 4 hours a day. So I have a very unusual way of looking at things. And that was the experience. Since then, I've created LLCs, advised people, and I've had situations where I've been advising my wife especially about how to create her company, her structure. So she's had various partners, and a lot of them were 50-50 partners, and a lot of them were with other people as well. Almost all of them are 50-50, corporations, LLCs. I guess after you create the company, and she's created the companies and had 6-figure budgets and 30-people teams and stuff like that. I'd be really curious about the advice that you give in the startup package on the next phase after the incorporation to get the ball running in terms of processes, structures, structural issues. Especially since I'd like to learn how to advise my wife, kind of like how you advise entrepreneurs.
Of course. Well, the first thing that you must have as a business owner is a promissory note. Promissory note is the one document that's really going to save you a lot of money down the road. Initially, you have to invest money in your business. You don't have clients straight away. So there's got to be a set amount of money that you're investing, but you're going to make that as a loan to the business rather than you purchasing stock for it, if you will. If it's a loan on the books, it gets captured as a loan and it doesn't get captured as income coming back to you. So now you just saved some money. The other contract you must have is a client contract. You've got you're in business for a reason, to make money, but you must have a client contract. That client contract must say who's going to provide what service and when are you going to get paid. Then there always is a dispute clause in there, always, just in case something goes wrong. Another contract as a startup package is a independent contractor agreement. That is, initially you don't normally have the budget to hire employees right off the bat. You've got payroll taxes, you've got these benefits that you must provide for your employees, especially in California. So you don't really have the budget for that. So you would start off with independent contractors. And that contract, again, tells you as the business owner what they're going to be doing for you, that you actually own all of the content that you've just paid them to do, and that how much they will be getting paid. The internals of running a business, if you're going to go into a business with a partner, partnership agreements, I cannot stress enough how important they are. There have been multiple cases where two partners have known each other for years. They decide to go into business together, and within a couple of months, the business falls apart. Why? It's the same people going into business, but you're not on the same page, you're not on the same line of thought. And it's important for you to actually sit down and say, we're going to create a partnership agreement. And in this partnership agreement, you must write, you're coming together for one reason, because you have a certain set of skills, Nick, and I have a certain set of skills. And so we're bringing those together to make a dynamic business. So we're going to write in this partnership agreement exactly what you're going to be doing and how much time you're going to be investing. I'm going to do the same thing. Doesn't matter if you know each other for 20 years. Doesn't matter if it's going to be based on a handshake. People forget. People get into accidents. So life happens. So the best thing is to make sure it's written on paper, so you're both on the same page and you both are contributing what you're supposed to contribute. That way you can hold each other accountable as well.
One of the things that I definitely agree with from that is the contractor agreement. That is the first document that I created, and it was also a document that I got from going to Google and Googling contractor agreement. Now, I was very lucky because I think that I got the best contractor agreement I could have possibly have ever created, because I got robbed of hundreds of thousands of dollars from a contractor, and it is continually referenced all the time in a countless amount of legal correspondence and proceedings. And as a result of that, it has saved me from losing a lot of assets that belonged to the company. It's really covered me. It originally came about because I had people who were working with me that wanted to create competing companies and just take the emails and the money and just run. There was no operating agreement even with my staff about how money was supposed to be recognized or anything. Historically, I haven't been a proponent of really the complex legalities because I created my company so easily, and then I got into so many legal issues that I decided to go to Harvard University and do a master's in legal studies. And then after I finished that, because I'm still doing it, I've been in college for 15 years, I'll probably be in college for the next 15 years. Mm-hmm. I want to do a Juris Doctorate as well. I guess one of the things that I'm even doing now is the complexities of even after being somebody who hasn't really been involved with a lot of legal contracts. Now, most of my time has historically been spent on operations, and I now spend half of that time on legal issues. Because you want to structure a whole new plan, like retirement plans and buyout options, and then structure how things can be recognized over time, kind of like stock options. Like my father, he was president of DeVry. Mm-hmm. And there's all these stock option plans worth millions of dollars when he exited. Mm-hmm. So I guess the relationship that you have with an attorney also has been useful. And my attorney has just been friends that, one of them was someone who I'd go to the Grammys with every year. My main legal counsel I meet with every day is someone who I've known since he was in law school.
It's important to create that relationship with legal counsel, absolutely.
How do you work with clients, whether it's for the startup business packages, because you have a whole course on business packages and programs, versus how you work face-to-face with your clients who directly want to work with you?
Yes. So my law firm is called Bagla Law Firm, and I've been in practice for over 15 years now. I started off in the corporate world. I started off with one of the largest international law firms in the world. I loved my time there, Nick. I was putting in 15, 16 hours a day, but I was learning from the best. I was working with entrepreneurs that wanted to start their own businesses, that wanted to take their companies public, that wanted to raise money for their businesses. So I really got to work with a different variety of entrepreneurs, if you will. Very quickly, I realized that I have an entrepreneurial spirit to myself as well. So I decided to go out, and I've had my firm for about 8 years now. And I'm very sort of selective, if you will, as to whom I would like to work with. I want to work with serious business owners that they understand the value of legal. They understand that it could be the make or break of their business. And I love what I do. I love practicing law, and I love helping business owners protect their hard work, because I am also a business owner. I do have 2 companies, the law firm and Go Legal Yourself. And the way I work with clients one-on-one is that we'll sit, we'll interview each other, and once it's a good fit, then it's always, I encourage them to reach out to me, email, phone, and I don't like to charge. I don't like to penny pinch my clients. I've never done that. That's what they do at the big law firms. Every time you call your attorney, you're on the clock. I'm very accessible, and I will really think outside the box for my clients. There's always a solution for everything, always. And if you are running, again, a serious business, we talk about what is the big goal, first of all. Where do you want to take your business? Do you want to build it up where you can sell it for millions? Do you want to build it up? You want to leave it as a legacy for your children? Do you want to sell it to employees? Do you want to close the doors after you're done? What is it that you want to do? So from the big picture, we work backwards. Now, I'm the creator of the business legal lifecycle. Legal is it's intimidating. It can be very confusing. You're going to school yourself for this, but many business owners don't have the time, Nick. They will not. They can't go to law school to just understand the legalities of their business. I've made it simple as 1, 2, 3, 4. That's as simple as you'll get as far as legal goes. Number 1 is the startup phase of your business. Everything that you need to know from a legal standpoint, what you need to do in the startup phase, is in my book. The second is the growth phase. Everything that you need to know and protect yourself is in my book. It can be as simple as you hire slow and you fire fast. Many business owners think it's the other way around. They think things are going to get better with employees when they don't. They think that the employees are on the same page as the business owner, and they're not. There are ways that you can incentivize, just as you said, with stock options, with equity, with bonuses. You can incentivize employees to make sure that they do take the same interest and the same they want to help you build your business too. Number 3 is the established phase. Now, what is it that you need to do as you're an established business? There's plenty of legal things that you need to do if you want to get to the next stage. The 4th phase is the exit phase. 90% of business owners don't even think about the exit phase. That's the most important phase of your business legal life cycle. It pays for your retirement. Wouldn't that be nice for your business to actually pay for your retirement? Many business owners think, okay, I'm going to do this for 20 years and then I'm going to close the doors and walk away. Why? That's 20 years of your life. You can have your business pay for your retirement. So it's really a roadmap, if you will, for a business owner to get from one phase to the other successfully.
The phases that you talk about, it's interesting to hear the phases described from you, because when I think about the phases of my company, it's definitely something that has been very, very different. I think that when I look at the phases of most companies, it's more like phase 1, then go to phase 2, and then get demolished and have to restructure it again and again.
Right.
So I'd be curious about how clean it usually is when you're actually putting things in practice.
You'd be surprised. It's a roadmap, right? So if you are going to travel from here to New York, you're going to sit down and plan, okay, well, we might want to stop here, there, and everywhere since we're going to New York, so we can actually see what we want to see. Again, Nick, it has to start off with a solid, dynamic business plan. It has to. That business plan is a constant changing plan. As you grow, as your needs grow, as your goal changes, so does your business plan. But it keeps you honest and it keeps you on track. If you follow your business plan, it's very rare that you will actually not succeed. It's rare that you will go down and have to restart again. There are, again, one of my clients, I met him last September, and by the end of March, so in September he had 3 employees. At the end of March he had 27 employees. He grew very, very, very quickly. He wasn't putting in the mechanisms in place that he needed to. All of a sudden, right now, he had to close his doors down because he opened 3-4 different businesses. His resources were running low. So if you don't plan again for that, and you think, you know, I've got this one client, this client's going to keep bringing in the money and I can keep paying my employees, you cannot base your entire business on one client. You can't do it. Yeah. So yes, we are helping him now. We've got him drafting a solid business plan for him, and he is restructuring now, and he's on the right path for success.
Most of the people that I've done interviews with, where I've interviewed other people, they've had significant businesses. Yet at the same time, most of the people that have interviewed me are in that startup phase. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see and interview someone who is focused on helping that specific niche. Mm-hmm. I created this channel because we created a global company and we wanted to figure out how I could get more into education as a fun passion project, and also allow me to just reconnect and connect with people in my soul circle to inspire ideas in me. And I met yesterday with a large group of people, many of which wanted to create small 1-man, 2-man, 3-man companies. These are people that I really had a good time talking to, yet most of their questions weren't even about the structure of the business or how things should be managing. And in your friend's case, your client's case, it was the cash flow issues of growing so fast. Because I've always done business outside the box, I think I've broken a lot of the rules. One of which is the most popular one that I hear that you've also restated, which is hire slow and fire fast.
Right.
There's a book called Top Grading. Are you familiar with that book?
I'm not, no.
So in this book, the author of the book created a program. It was a $3,000 program where over 2 days you would learn how to create this 2 to 3 hour interview. And then there's a series of follow-up shorter interviews before you bring this person on. You only want to hire A-list players, so everyone's a top tier player ready to go. And so what I've been doing was what I refer to as anti-top grading, where people will apply for a job, and as long as they're normal human beings, we give them a chance to volunteer and work for us for 3 months, 6 months, maybe up to a year and a half. And then maybe 1 out of 30 of these people get put on payroll, but we hire them really fast and give them a small job, and then a larger one, then a larger one. I guess I'm curious about how flexible you found your roadmap if you were to violate some of those rules.
Again, the roadmap is only going to be successful as far as you keeping honest to what you want to do in your business. Okay. So, for example, you decide to start up. It's a startup business, and it's only yourself. Then you decide to, well, I want 2 locations, so I really need another partner. So you bring in another partner. Now, think about, is this partner just going to be an actual manager of that other location? Is this partner actually going to be a stockholder of the company? How are you going to incentivize that person? Are you going to have the overall control of certain decisions that you're going to make? And as a business owner, absolutely you can have that. And those decisions all need to be in the corporate documents. So again, everyone's on the same page. When you are hiring employees, I cannot stress enough, there are 3 documents that you must use in California. The first one is the application, because that really helps you figure out whether this person is going to be a good fit for your company or not. And that person will find out a little bit more about your company as well. The second, once you decide, yes, this person is correct, the second document that you must have for employees is an employee agreement. That employee agreement holds them to exactly what they said in the application, that they can do this or they cannot do this. Because, again, in California, it's very, very difficult once you've hired an employee to sort of let them go, even though we're in a at-will state. That really means you as a business owner need to cover your bum with all of these documentations before you can let an employee go. So it's extremely important that you understand what you're doing at that point. The third document is the employee handbook. Must have an employee handbook in California. As a business owner, that's the only way that you can be in charge of your business, the brand, the reputation, how other people will see you, how the employees will see you. You, as a business owner, you're the leader. And so you want to portray leadership traits and not become friends with employees. You can't do that. Going back to your question, how flexible is this business plan? The way I've created this business plan, Nick. It's been, over time, because I've used this business plan for startups to put them on the right track. I've used this business plan to raise millions for clients that are looking for funding. It works for both reasons. And you can start off by saying, no, we're not looking for any investment. We just want to start off with our core target market. All of a sudden, you find this brilliant idea and you just have to go for that, but yet you need money. So now you're going to say, okay, well, we really need to find investors. This business plan that you started, you can add to that and go find investment money. That's how flexible it is.
Got it. One of the things I think a lot of people wonder about is even how to initiate these processes, especially with the contracts and agreements with all these different parties. I think a lot of times, if you look at things like, say, social network, have you ever seen that? Mm-hmm. So you'll look at that and you'll see the startup stories of Facebook, where one of the people in the contract agreements for the initial contracts thought that an attorney was representing him, and it wasn't. It was representing the opposite party. I've had situations where for people who work for me, I've offered to have attorneys help them, in addition to having an attorney for my company present, mm-hmm. and then having an attorney representing myself. So you'd have 3 attorneys in meetings at the same time. I guess I'm curious though, because so many other people who I've introduced to attorneys will be scared of talking to attorneys, and the whole time thinks that of attorneys as more of a threat, mm-hmm. so that if there's an opposite side of attorney, that person's goal is really to, I think they misunderstand and believe that those attorneys are there to attack the other party, as opposed to go along with the intentions of the party that they represent. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would be curious about what you found that has worked the best. Has it been that the people talk together without attorneys present, or with attorneys present to give the other side confidence that everything's working out?
That's an interesting question. I have just advised a client. So initially, yes, business owners are very intimidated by attorneys. Attorneys don't have a good reputation. I don't know if you know that, Nick. We just don't. And I'm sure you must have heard all the attorney jokes as well. I personally love them, I really do. But that being said, the attorney can play a fantastic role. It could be sort of your best asset, if you will, as a business owner. So if you need to get someone's attention, say they're not paying you, and you need to get their attention, that's when you use an attorney to reach out and say, demand letter, we need money. Then if the other party reaches out to you without the attorney, I highly encourage that, because you've got their attention. Now you can resolve things fairly quickly, because if they're going to get attorneys involved, that means the other side is willing to resolve this fairly quickly. So I encourage that. But when the attorneys get involved and there's just no communication between the two parties, it's important that you let your attorney do their job for you, because all they're doing is trying to represent your best interest. So it works both ways.
Got it. At what point in the interaction do you think an attorney should be in the conversations of working with the partners in the beginning? Do you think it's one in which the parties should have their own individual attorneys from the very beginning, or should be just one that represents their mutual interests together?
Initially, so that attorneys, we have conflicts of interest, if you will. If you hire an attorney to represent the corporation only, that's one attorney. The attorney can advise the board of directors. So the attorney doesn't represent the individual directors, it represents the board, if you will. If you have two partners, I would highly recommend that each partner have their attorney present. It's important to, again, have your interest represented legally, and you've captured that in documentation. But at the beginning, say there's two partners that want to open up a business, it's okay because you're both on the same page, right? You both want to open the same business, go down the same road, attract the same clients, if you will. Because your interests are aligned, you can actually hire one attorney to make sure that the legalities of the business is running smoothly.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm also curious from your experience, how often you've seen clients get success with building their company through this process as like an overall probability versus clients that have just gone, and created the company and then come to you later and have still been around.
When a client starts out with me, I can actually say this with full confidence, that they are on the road to success. I don't just talk to them about just the legalities of it. Again, I'm a business owner, so I know the ins and outs of actually running a business as well. So they have me as a sounding board and advising them on business aspects. Whether to, should I spend money here? Should I spend money there? What do I need to focus on first? Because the very first thing that a startup does that I've seen is that they might have a budget of $5,000 to $10,000, and they go out and they spend half of that, $5,000 on a website. Why? Why? Right? You're not sort of competing with the big boys right now. So reserve your resources until money starts coming in. So we do this whole planning for the business, if you will. For the clients that I've seen that come to me afterwards, after they've already ran their business for maybe a couple of years or so, I always make sure that I do a review of their corporate books, if you will, because if they are not standing on a solid legal foundation, doesn't matter how high you keep building, it's going to come down crashing, and you're not going to have any sort of protection for you. So we've got to make sure that all the legalities, corporate compliance, if you're a corporation, you have to follow corporate compliance in order for your corporate shield to protect your personal assets, right? So that's first and foremost. And then second, we sit down and we strategize, okay, well, where do you want to go? Who are you trying to attract? What other connections do we need to bring to the table so you can achieve your goals? So there's sort of like a lot of working parts, if you will. But the ones that I've noticed that do not succeed are the ones that feel they can do this themselves. The ones that feel Google is their best friend and that they can Google any document from the internet and that's what they're going to use. Those are the businesses that I absolutely have seen failed, and those are the clients that I don't think I'd be able to help.
When you've seen partners who have gone through that process of creating a failed company and get demolished again and again and again, and they've have low cash, but they're serious about being in the business. I think a lot of people are scared of getting involved with attorneys because, although half of people's money on a website is something I would never advise. I think people are also concerned that 90% of the money might be spent on contracts with an attorney or one letter. I think the average letter I've ever written was about $5,000. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about how that would work for you and a client. Does it really cost that much, or can it actually be quite simple and much cheaper and more affordable?
Well, as an attorney and working for the largest international law firm in the world, $5,000 to $10,000 was absolutely nothing. That would go on, you're absolutely right, 2 contracts. What I want to do for the entrepreneur is I want to make it really simple for them. One, I want to say legal is not scary. Legal can be your best friend if you treat it right, okay? 2, I have created the perfect tools for them for a set price, so they know exactly how much they'll be paying for that. These tools, again, it's a complete package for a startup. It has all of the contracts that you and I just spoke about. The incorporation package, I help them incorporate right there and then when they attend the workshop. We have the client contracts, we've got the independent contractor agreements in there, we have the promissory notes in there. And to get your presence out, you're going to need a website. Not a $5,000 website, something small so you can actually become credible. And so you need website terms and conditions, that's huge. You need privacy policies on your website. You need a disclaimer on. So all of this is in my package, and that's why I created these to be accessible for the entrepreneur who is starting out on a budget. So yes, they can actually do all of it within their budget, plus they get continuous advice down the road as far as business goes.
Now you've branded yourself as an expert in training not just entrepreneurs, but especially female entrepreneurs. Where's that passion come from?
Well, I'm actually known as the Queen of Business Law, Nick. Okay. It's an affectionate title given to me by clients just because I'm a champion for them. I really protect them when they hire on with me. Now, 80% of my clientele were men.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, well, why aren't women business owners more sort of legaling up, if you will? Why is there a disconnect there? So it's become my passion to really educate women business owners, to support women business owners. In today's day and age, there are more women business owners starting businesses than men now. And so they need the same legal protection. They need the same contracts so they can go out there and become successful and do business with confidence. That's my passion, and that's what I want to give to women business owners.
Awesome. Now, I continue to think about my wife when I'm talking to someone who's focused on the startups and making sure companies get started up, because she's created so many companies and always has new projects going on. I guess she's now gotten to the point where she wants to focus on being more of a self-employed person and doing it without a lot of people involved in the company. For someone who wants to create a more simple business as opposed to historically having a lot of people involved, are these elements just as important? How would they be different?
They're extremely important. Again, the package that I have, it's called the Startup Essentials package, and it's right there on my website. It makes sure that it protects the solo entrepreneur, if you will, and it also makes sure that it will protect someone that wants to go into business with 4, 5, 6 other partners. This package is, again, for someone that wants to do business self-employed by themselves. They need legal protection. They need to be incorporated so their personal assets are protected from their business assets when they get sued. They still need client contracts. They still need independent contractor agreements. They still need that promissory note, and they still need the website terms and conditions. So it's extremely important. The way I have created these packages, they work with either one person going into business or 5 people going into business.
Awesome. Cool. And where can people find out more information about your packages and programs for creating this?
They can go directly to my website, which is baglalaw.com. And I also want to share as well, Nick, that in November 6th, I will be releasing my very first podcast.
Awesome.
Yes. And that's going to be focused for business entrepreneurs as well. So we will be interviewing business owners that have gone through terrible legal stuff and just giving general business advice to business owners that are looking just for some general advice. We're going to be sharing some legal tips with owners as well. So it's going to be an exciting, funny podcast. Plus, you'll get to hear some attorney jokes as well.
Will this be under Go Legal Yourself podcast?
Yes, it will.
Awesome.
Yes, it will.
So check out Kelly's website, check out her podcast. If you are in that startup phase, this is all essential stuff. I definitely would vouch for the paperwork that she's discussing, and I hope that you got a lot of value and will make plans to take advantage of these opportunities. Thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Cheers.